appears speed was also perhaps a factor in the Los Angeles car crash that killed the actor Paul Walker and his driving partner over the weekend. Now, the Porsche they were in was a special one, had a top speed of 335 kilometres an hour. More than one expert, though, has described that car as very hard to drive, especially at speed if you don't know what you're doing. CNL's Nichelle Turner following the story for us from our New York bureau. Yeah, I've seen a lot of car experts who tested this car out on racetracks saying this thing was hard to handle.
Well, you know, Michael, this car, it's a Porsche Carrera GT, but a specially made, custom-built Porsche Carrera. This was not an everyday driving car. This was a show car. It was a performance car, $450,000 car. And by the way, this car that was in the crash was built 8 years ago. The odometer only had 3,200 miles on it. So basically, they only drove it about 200 miles per year. It definitely was a show car. It wasn't just your average everyday driving car. But we're also going to show you some video in just a moment that seems to show the moment of impact of the crash. And also, while the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is continuing its investigation into what happened, friends, family, and fans are continuing to mourn. Fast cars and high-octane driving, the keys of the Fast and Furious franchise, and possibly the cause of death for one of the film's stars. Investigators say they believe the fiery crash that killed Paul Walker and a friend on Saturday involved a single speeding car. His Fast and Furious co-star, Vin Diesel, visited the crash site Monday night. He addressed a crowd gathered at the memorial.
Thank you for coming down here and showing that angel up in heaven how much you appreciate it. Yeah! Thank you.
OMG Insider obtained this surveillance video showing the moment the 2005 Porsche Carrera GT, driven by Walker's racing team partner Roger Rodas, slammed into a light pole.
We have confirmed 2 DOA.
The LA County Sheriff's Department investigated and ruled out a tip that the crash may have been the result of a street race. An eyewitness backs up that conclusion.
When they passed us, there were no other cars around them at all. And there was only one car, and we were listening for it. And when they, when they hit it a little bit and you can hear their exhaust, there's only one car.
The pavement where the crash occurred is scorched with skid marks, though it's unclear if those were left by the car Walker was riding in. And law enforcement sources say the oval-like street has a reputation for being popular with fast drivers. Walker himself spoke about the kind of dangerous driving depicted in the Fast and Furious back in 2001.
There's nothing to be worse than a 120-mile-an-hour blowout on a surface street, with pedestrians lining up and down it. It's just common sense. It's just not worth the risk factor.
I'm in St. Mary's Hospital. I got a baby on a ventilator that needs a rescue.
Walker's new movie, Hours, will open as planned on December 13th. Hello? He'd been working on the 7th installment of the Fast and Furious series at the time of his death. The future of that film now in question. But this ominous scene has been leaked online, showing Walker at a funeral. Walker leaves behind a devoted fan base, friends, and close-knit family. His dad says they are overcome with grief.
As a father, that's a fear you always have, that one of your children will go before you.
Very sad. I will tell you, early on, sources close to Paul Walker were telling me that they did not believe in any way, shape, or form that street racing was a factor in this crash. They said Paul, who was a race car driver himself, his motto was always, cars are meant to race on the track, not on the street. I also spoke with a representative for him who says they are still working out plans for a memorial. Meantime, the LA Coroner's Office says autopsies on Walker and Rodas will be done later today. And back to the car that you were speaking about, Michael, earlier, both of these men were experienced race car drivers. So even though this car was a hard one to drive, they were experienced drivers.
Yeah, it does seem almost unseemly, and you mentioned it in the story there, but a lot of people have been asking, what about the movie? One presumes it'll go on.
I heard from Universal Pictures, which is the studio behind the film, and they are still trying to decide what exactly they're going to do about the release of the film. It's slated for release July of 2014. That's right in the heart of the summer blockbuster movie season. But right now they're trying to decide if they will delay it or what they will do with the production of it. The movie is not done shooting just yet.
All right. Thanks so much, Nichelle. Nichelle Turner there.
Sure.